Back to what I was saying earlier, though, about I think the population has changed in the last 20 years. You know, historically we had some radicals. We had some people that didn't have the same values. It was left-leaning, Travis County. But
Still
I
is.
think that, well, I think it's changing, though.
I do too.
I think
I
that
do
there
too.
is the heart of the people is changing. People are looking for people that will be that leader that'll stand up for them and speak truth.
Yes.
They're looking for people that will represent them, you know, and the Hispanics and blacks and whites alike, plus
Yes.
the Asians. In the,
Right.
Yes.
Well, right now I think we really have a lot of, a couple of Hispanic politicians in office in our city council and districts, but without mentioning their names, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows who they are.
That's right.
I want to
Used
say
to be a fireman. I don't much care for this guy.
no,
I'm
I'm not a very big fan of his either. I don't think that he's doing a justice to his community. I don't believe that his politics are everybody's politics.
That's right.
He's very much left-leaning.
Yes.
And it's just, I just don't, I find it very disheartening to listen to anything he has to say.
That's right.
I just, there's really no really good things I can say about these gentlemen.
That's right.
So I really would like to have somebody oppose them in their next running.
Well, it's interesting seeing people like Mary Lou and Marilyn Jackson and Mike that are as they're rising with the heart of the people, the minds of the people.
I think so. I think so too. There is a new movement in Travis County,
That's
and
right.
I think the feeling is government is not the solution.
That's right.
Government is mostly the problem.
Right.
And so my personal opinion is that if people had their own money back in their pockets and there were less government, that means cutting government programs and so forth, people would take care of a lot of problems by having their own money back. Businesses would grow, and there would be more money for people to spend on charities and other projects that they wanted to invest in, so to speak. And with government controlling everything, it is essentially politicians taxing the people, and the money is not going to projects for the people. It's going into things that politicians are choosing, and I think that's the wrong way to go.
Right. Well, and I just want to say that even my parents, as business owners, they find it very frustrating with all of the taxes that they have to pay.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, and they're both saying, you know, what is the incentive for us to expand the business and to hire more people? Because all it's going to do is put them in a higher tax bracket. They're not bringing home any more money. That just means they're paying more taxes.
They'll be doing a lot more work.
A lot more
Right.
work.
Yes.
That's right.
So
Yes.
where is the incentive for me to expand my business, Obama,
That's right.
and to have more people get off of that unemployment line?
Yes. The
That's
way
right.
that I like to say this is, when you cut government and lower taxes, especially when you lower taxes, the money doesn't disappear. It stays, the money is still there, it's still in the economy, the money is still there in the wallets of the people, and they can then do whatever they want. So when we talk about cutting government or cutting the government budget, it's not like we're just, you know, going to set fire to all the money and things are going to disappear. In fact, it's going to go back into the private sector, and then people are going to use it for building businesses, for building charities, for projects, and whatever else there is. And in my opinion, the people would be better capable of doing all of that than temporary politicians who drift in and out of office over some period of time.
That's right. That's right.
Or the
So-
politicians that stay in office and have the same problems and issues over and over and
Over and over.
That's right.
Lifelong politicians who are in control of that much money.
That's right.
So I want to give an example of that. Because I'm kind of on a high horse about this problem, which is that I am opposed to taxing people and having politicians then control the money and dole it out to individual companies. You know, what people call corporate welfare, and what I call FTI. Forced taxpayer investments, which is when we tax the people and then presumably under the guise of creating jobs or generating more tax
We're
revenue.
talking a subsidy type of,
We're talking subsidies for
like the Texas Film Commission, a
for
state-run organization that's supposed to entice Hollywood to come to Texas.
And if they're giving subsidies to an industry or to a company within an industry, I oppose that. And an example would be the Formula One racetrack,
Yes.
bringing in the Formula One racetrack, presumably because it's supposed to raise tax money and all of that other stuff, and it's supposed to be a good...
Jobs, won't it?
No, I don't think that's the right way to look
I
at
wanted
it.
Formula One racing in here.
Well, I understand if that's the
Be
case.
right back in the USA for how long since it's been here?
You and your friends should get together and
Okay,
invest
I see
in
what
it,
you're saying.
you know, and
That's
do
right.
it. But here's the reason I do not support saying, well, it's going to create jobs. That statement makes absolutely no sense when what you have done in order to get the money in the first place is suck money out of the existing economy for some long period of time in order to generate the tax fund that goes to those kinds of subsidies. So you need to look at all the jobs that you just killed in order to generate the money, and then you say, well, it's going to create jobs, or it's going to. But the new jobs that you're talking about is essentially speculation. Those are speculative.
true.
Those are speculative investments.
That's right. The number of jobs are those jobs being stimulated from resources that could be better used to, say, for your parents to expand their business and not need even a fraction of as much money and hire probably just as many people.
And those businesses were already here.
That's right.
They were already here in the
That's
first
right.
place. They were already operating, and they're already successful because they already stood the test of time.
That's right.
So that's
important.
that's what I. That's what I think
I
about that.
agree.
Well, I had to go with that because I like the film commission and also like horses. Barrel racing in Louisiana is there's a business in both states, but in Louisiana the state funds it to a degree, and they subsidize it for Louisiana competitors. And this brings all these people will come into town and spend this money on the feed store and the local grocery stores. And David Dewhurst, which I agreed with him when he did this one time at Fort Worth, because if you're Louisiana and you're competing in Louisiana and you win more than if you're a Texan competing in Louisiana and win. Does this make any sense yet? Probably
No.
not. I'm not articulating it properly. It gets very complicated what you're talking about, these subsidies, but they can encourage investment.
Yeah,
No.
they can.
Maybe not.
No.
No?
No, it's not
The Film
encouraging.
Commission, that's an easy one to look at here in Austin.
I would say the Formula One racetrack is an easy thing to look at in the following way. First of all, if these subsidies were
Nobody
so
wants
great,
to be a racer. Everybody wants to be a movie star.
if these subsidies were
Okay.
so great, let me say this: if these subsidies were so great in investing and creating tax dollars and generating money, then why don't we should take even more money and put it into subsidies. If the politicians were so great in choosing the industries and choosing the companies that were supposed to, why limit
Politicians
it?
who have never had the jobs before in their life.
Why
Why let
limit
them
it?
do the investing?
Why limit it to $250 million? Why not invest $2 billion or $10 billion or
Well,
even more?
Or identify industries for that amount of money that could stimulate the economy.
Well, there's
could
also the
generate a lot
competition
more.
factor.
That's right.
North Carolina, South Carolina, Raleigh-Durham is my arch enemy for Austin because they're similar to Austin. And if we don't give Samsung that money, they will. And same thing on Formula One racing.
What
If we
needs?
don't entice them to come to Austin, they'll go to Raleigh-Durham.
But the question is what we could have done with that money if we had left it in the economy for all the years that it took to collect that money with. That's the comparison. What our economy would have been if we had left the money in the economy and grown the businesses that are already here. Because some of those businesses, whether we're competing against other cities or not, some of them fail.
That's right.
Some of them historically have failed, by the way, and do not create the jobs that they have said they were going to create.
That's right.
So I'm fine to say, it's one thing to say, well, if we don't do it, they're not going to come and they're not going to create jobs. But that's speculation. Those are speculative investments.
Kick that horse real hard because we got to go to a video here in a little bit.
Speaking
But
of
that
horses,
was my point about if we don't do it, then Formula One racing is going to go to another town that's going to offer them incentives. And you say, let them go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have
So
been
I'll have
talking.
to watch it from Raleigh, Durham instead of going out my door and seeing it.
Maybe
Well,
go
if
to
you
Fort
want, you know,
Worth.
if private people want to create a fund and do
If I want
it,
to see it personally, I got to fly there and spend my money in Raleigh, Durham instead of them flying here and spending their money. Anyway, we'll have to get back to this one.